Alrighty. Good morning, everyone. I'm Shannon. I'm the Marketing and Communications Coordinator here at Directions Training. Thank you so much for joining us today for our Professional Skills webinar session. Today we have a wonderful instructor. We have Elaine Robbins Harris, who will be leading the webinar. She has a master's in marketing communication. She has a certification in organizations system development and is a certified diversity consultant. She specializes in customized program design and implementation, which she's actually been doing for Directions for about 5 years now. So you guys are in great hands today, and I see we've got a good amount of people joining us. So without further ado, I will turn it over to you, Elaine.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us. Oh, and I appreciate the clap. So today we are focusing on the impact and benefits of professional skills, which are sometimes referred to as business skills and even soft skills. And so when we take a look at these business skills, we focus on them because we know the importance of continuing to build our technology skills, the skills that support our professional development. But we don't want to overlook these business skills or professional skills because they complement the specialized industry or professional knowledge that employees bring to the workplace. And they're a key factor for being able to optimize technology skills. And so we're going to talk about that a little more when we look at the professional advantage that is gained when employees have an opportunity to develop these professional skills. When employees have the opportunity to focus on improving their communication skills so that they gather and disseminate information effectively, that they have an awareness of different communication styles or management styles within the workplace, and that enables them to interact effectively. It minimizes conflict, and personal improvement is encouraged because when people are aware of what they need to do to be more effective, they can put a focus on that. And then there's enhanced accountability. All of this contributes to a culture of collaboration, trust, and respect. And it has an impact on achieving the organization or the team's goals and objectives. And so, with that going on, clients on the outside or even internal clients that are seeing this interaction or experiencing the improvement, it enhances the respect that they have for the team or the organization. So when we think about professional advantage, that's what we're seeing. Now, I just want to give you an overview quickly of the business skills that we've done recently with Directions Training's client. We've either done them very recently or they're on our calendar coming up very soon. And so there's communication skills for the technology era, problem solving and decision making, foundations of leadership, communication skills for conflict resolution, presentation skills, professionalism in the workplace, applying the design thinking process, applying habits for exceptional customer service, and applying professional skills for effective teams. These are workshops that are currently available, but as we get to the end of this presentation, you'll see there are additional workshops that are listed on our website that you can also choose from. So I want to talk a little bit about the program format because to me that has probably the biggest impact on seeing engagement and getting the type of input and output that we'd like to see. First of all, the program does include facilitator presentation, so I am talking and presenting, but very importantly, it includes small and large group discussion, group activities, and personal assessment, goal setting, and action planning. And I will be talking about those as we go through this presentation. But what I really want to stress is that the programs are structured to foster a very lively, engaging session. And so the participants, I encourage them to share their experiences, their insights, and their curiosity, because I explained to them, first of all, they don't want to hear me talk at them for 6 to 7 hours, but it's their experiences, their insights that bring reality to the concepts that are presented. And also, it helps them to see that they learn from their own experiences and they learn from the experiences of others. Okay, so I'm saying, okay, these questions over here are for you. Okay, I thought they were questions for me. Okay, great. And so the That encourages a very engaging session where people are really talking to one another. Uh, we have a lot of storytelling, which I'll talk about later, and we're having a good time. And it has the day go quicker, but it puts a real positive energy in the room because what we understand about adult learners is that they like to draw on their own experiences. That makes the real learning very real for them. And we know that so often, when people are busy in the workplace, they're having great experiences, they're managing challenges, they're learning new things, they're overcoming obstacles, they're having success, but they don't often have time to go back and think about what enabled me to do that. Okay, what can I do better? What did I learn from this? And so that's why the program is formatted to kind of foster that type of exchange, that type of lively exchange. And so the features of the program that go along with this type of format is that in preparing for the program, once someone decides they want to do this for their employees, the first step that I take is to have a conversation with the manager or director, whoever's determined that this is the type of workshop they want to offer, because it's important for me to know, are there specific goals and objectives that you want to address within this training? Is there some specific need based on what's going on within the culture of the organization that you'd like to have addressed? Or are there some current initiatives that you'd like to align this with? And so, based upon that, then the modules can focus on the development of competencies that enhance the participants' current their knowledge, their technology base, their experience, but also is customized to meet specific objectives. And each participant receives a binder that includes all the concepts and skills that were presented, as well as space for note taking and journaling. This note taking and journaling is very important because as we proceed through the program, I'm asking the participants to note the strengths and characteristics that they see that they already have, that they're utilizing, that they're aware of, but also to note the areas for development, for personal development. And making those notations, first of all, it contributes to the interaction and the sharing, but very importantly, it lays the foundation for doing the personal assessment and doing a personal action plan at the end of the program. Are there any questions or comments so far before I go any further? Okay. And so I mentioned program features, and I think the biggest feature of the program is the participants themselves, is their engagement, because what they bring to it enables us to build on it, and as I said, to learn from one another's experiences. And so there are several concepts that are very important to me. I found them to be very beneficial and to have a very positive impact. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about each of these concepts. Now, all of these concepts are not included in every program. They're included where it's appropriate and where it lends to the program. But I just want you to be aware of the type of concepts that can be covered when we're talking about communication skills or conflict resolution or giving feedback or building a strong team. I talk about professional brand because often brand is just considered when young people are preparing to enter a new position in the workplace. But, remind the participants that we all have a brand. And we may not think of it as brand. Sometimes we think of it simply as our reputation. But understanding that everyone has a brand and everyone's brand is very unique and it's made up of your knowledge, your experience, etc. But also it's your personal strengths and characteristics, and it's the things that you bring to the workplace that enable you to be effective. And so, being aware of our brand, what contributes to that brand, and how focusing on that brand is continuous, that supports the commitment to professional development. And then the lifelong learning model has a lot of impact. It's always very, very strong portion of the workshop. And that's a model for understanding how we take control of utilizing every experience to continue learning. And with understanding how things change so rapidly with the technology and how fascinating that is. So we know that it's important to continue learning based on your own particular area of technology. but it's also important to continue learning how to deal in different situations, how to manage conflict, how to deal with people who have different styles, how to manage challenges, how to solve problems. And so that model just gives a framework for understanding the importance of lifelong learning and the framework. There are different steps that give us a perception of how we approach that. Emotional intelligence is really supports having a culture of collaboration and respect and trust, which is so important in the workplace. And emotional intelligence is about self-awareness, being aware of our own emotions and self-management, managing those emotions, understanding how to manage them so that we are having a positive impact. Because there will be times when there's disagreement, there will be times when things go wrong, but how we manage that is so important. And emotional intelligence also focuses on social awareness, being aware of the people within our team or our group, of what affects them, how best to interact with them. So that social awareness and that social management are also a part of emotional intelligence. And then personal power to enhance positional power. Personal power is a framework for thinking about acknowledging and effectively utilizing all of the experiences and skills that have been gathered throughout the years, as far back as you can remember, everything that you've gathered, that you own as part of your knowledge base, and using that in a very effective way to have an impact on outcomes, on organization culture, etc. And communication styles, that's always the basis to start talking any discussion around communication because people have different communication styles. And we may not always think about it, but then again, maybe you do when you talk to somebody and it seems like you're having such a different way of approaching a situation. That's always a fun format to use or fun program to discuss because people recognize the different styles and styles that may be a challenge for them, but then also understanding that there are ways to be flexible and so that you can have effective interaction with each style because that's so important. And storytelling. And there's going to be more on storytelling as we approach the end of this presentation. But storytelling is a way of gathering and acknowledging personal experiences. And this supports that ability to be insightful and to share experience and to learn from experience. And you may be aware that storytelling is now very popular in many corporate venues because people are realizing that it's a way to tell a story, to engage people, and to have them really understand the impact. And so a lot of managers and leaders have started telling stories. I wish I could say that I came up with the idea, but no, it's being done. And there's a format that I use that's a very easy to use format. And it create, and I'll talk about it later. So I'll just wait to talk about the impact that it has within the workshop and how it can have an impact, as participants leave the workshop and go out to apply what they've learned. And so when we talk about this engagement and personal commitment and the concepts that I just shared with you that I think really have an impact, I think they're important because we want benefits in the workshop, of course. It's important to me that people are comfortable sharing their experiences, asking questions, understanding the importance of broadening their perspective, of being aware, but also there are benefits that occur after the workshop because we want them to go back and to use what they've learned, to apply what they've learned. And so in the workshop, I've said before that personal reflection and insight is so important. And so when participants are aware of the different concepts, and then it drives that reflection and that insight, and that leads to the discussion that's so important. And those concepts I mentioned before, they provide a good foundation for applying the presented skills, the communication skills, the team building skills, etc. And as I said earlier, they also give a development of the personal action plan because they start to think about what am I doing? Are these things that I need to work on? How do I improve or how do I enhance the strengths that I have? And then after the workshop, it's so important that participants are able to utilize the presented concepts and skills, and that enhances performance and outcomes. And so I just want to share with you an example of how a group did this. And I was really pleased about this. One of our clients had a Foundations of Leadership workshop. They identified, it was maybe about 25 participants, maybe between 20 and 25 participants. These were individuals who were very effective in the work that they were doing. And so they were good with their technology skills, etc. And this manager recognized that they had the skills to be leaders. And so she thought that they were on the track, that they would be promoted at some point. But she also understood that it was very important to early on give them a foundation to understand what are the strengths, what is the foundation for good leadership. And so I did the Foundations in Leadership program, and it included some of the concepts that were mentioned in the previous slide: personal power, lifelong learning, and emotional intelligence. And what they did at the end that I was so pleased about, they said that they were now a group and that they were going to meet once a month to discuss how they were using the concepts that were presented. And of course, we had generated a lot of flip charts, a lot of charts along, our discussion. And so they took these charts and they said that every month they were going to meet to talk about how each of them individually in their current role, how they were using these concepts, what they were seeing as a result. And they talked about their own personal and professional growth. And so I like that. I think that's great because it shows that you go beyond just being in a session for a day or two and really thinking about what does this mean to my personal and my professional growth. Any comments or questions yet? Okay. And so I've said before, and it's just very important to me to reiterate, and I think you'll agree, experience is the best teacher. I can stand in front of the room or sit at a table for great discussion with the participants and talk about these great concepts. But when they can think about what they've observed, what they've experienced, what they have curiosity about, that's when the real learning begins. Because we know with adult learners, it has to be based on something they can relate to. And so that's where we go into encouraging the personal insight and the personal commitment. And that's where we get to the storytelling. Okay. And so storytelling, it supports the exchange within the session. I mentioned that earlier. But it also can support what happens after the session. And so if we think about the importance of supporting a collaborative and productive culture, think about the benefits that telling a story. And when I say telling a story, it's a story about if someone has had a very challenging experience and things worked out very well, or they managed something and there were some difficulties and maybe things didn't go as planned, but there were some lessons learned and they were able to start over and things worked out well. And so there are opportunities for stories, but of course, in the hectic pace, and because we do have to meet objectives and outcomes, then there may not be time to just always stop and tell a story, but those stories are lingering. And so given the opportunity and the framework, people can tell stories that are very beneficial, both to them as a storyteller and to the individuals who are hearing the story. And so if someone has a story to tell, they could support and encourage teammates or colleagues who are having a challenge, or someone who's new to the team or new to using a specific system or product. And then it acknowledges the contributions and achievements of colleagues. And that's so important within the team because we know that people want to be acknowledged. Okay. And it doesn't have to be an everyday, but when there's an opportunity to talk about something that was challenging or was difficult or, just required, so much effort, it's good to acknowledge that. It's good for the individual. It's good for the team. And so be able to note the strengths and achievements of the team in doing that and to celebrate the progress and achievements of the team. So this works in a lot of settings, but it's very effective for leaders and it's very effective when we're considering having an impact on building a strong team. And then for the individual, it gives you an opportunity to own your strengths, contributions, and achievements. And so when you can tell a story that may be a lesson a learning experience for others, but also if you're owning your strengths, your contributions, and achievements, we all know it feels good to know that I'm doing well, I'm doing a good job. Okay. And then you can also identify opportunities for personal growth and development. Stories are good, they're beneficial in many ways. They give us a chance to own our strengths, but they also can be opportunities that point out the growth. And then we get a chance to share, laugh, and it fosters and supports team culture. Okay, so I see a question there. Um, Shannon, I can't read the entire question. Are you able to? What topics would you like? I'm
Oh,
not able to see that.
you're fine.
Can
That's
anyone
just one
help
of
me with
the
that?
poll questions. You can go ahead and keep going.
Oh, excuse me. Okay, I got excited. I thought it was a question for me. Okay, all right. Come on, group. Any questions so far, or any aha moments? Okay, I'll continue. So again, to sum it up, storytelling helps participants to be consciously and continuously aware of their challenges, their growth, their resiliency, their risk, and their achievements. And this is very important so that they stay on point. Okay, this is what I'm doing. This is what I'm doing well. This is what I've learned. This is what I've overcome. And so it has a very positive impact on commitment and performance. And it fosters a commitment to enhance and apply current strengths and skills. And I've said that it's important to recognize current strengths and skills so that you can enhance those, but also to focus on opportunities for development in other areas for continuous growth. And so the personal action plan captures this commitment. And I've noticed that at the end of sessions, when I've asked the participants to focus on their personal action plan, that there's a lot of engagement around that people enjoy that is very important to think about, where am I strong and where are my opportunities for growth?
Yes, you do have a
Is that a
question now.
question? Okay. I see. Okay. I just see the top. Let me,
I can
can I
read it
get a
out
roll
loud
call?
for you.
Excuse me.
So, someone wants to know, do you see any
Okay.
trends with departments focusing on certain areas of professional development or variance amongst different departments selecting different areas to learn?
Um, because I'm working with directions training, the clients that we have, they are always technology departments, innovation and technology, or something to do with technology. And so there tends to be a focus on, especially, I'm going to go back to the screen that I showed a little earlier, because these were the programs that we've been asked about within the past. Wait a minute, here we go, I'm too fast. So these are the programs that we've done recently that we were asked about, I'd say within the past 2 years. Okay. Last year and this year, there's really been a focus on these. And so you see it's communication skills, problem solving. I talked to you about that foundations of leadership, conflict resolution. We've got presentation skills scheduled for October. So these are the things that have come up because I think that they're saying, like I said, that there's strength in what they're doing with technology and they're continuing to grow in that. But these skills support them being able to interact effectively within their team and to interact effectively with outside clients or vendors, etc. Okay. How can an organization access the strength of any of these skills prior to scheduling a training class? Ari, typically what has happened with the clients that we have is that they'll recognize that issues are coming up and they want to address these issues. We did a customer service for a client because they felt like that they wanted to, and this was a client that was dealing with their clients were at a pretty high level, and they felt like there were some things that were missing that the clients weren't having, that their participants, their employees rather, excuse me, their employees weren't having the connection with the outside clients that they want. They felt like it wasn't consistent, and so we could do a survey. We could do a focus group discussion to assess the strength if that's something you would like to do. But often it comes about through observation. But you could definitely take a poll, do a survey, or have a focus group discussion with, and I've done that before with clients too, where you're sitting in a round table discussion and talking about some specific things to see, what they see is missing or what they're not aware of or what they'd like to focus on. So if there are no other questions, I appreciate you joining us. You're
We will
welcome.
stay on the line here for a while as well if anyone has any additional questions. Otherwise, thank you guys so much for joining us, and we hope to see you soon, whether it be in, another class or a webinar. But we hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.